channel.
You know what time it is, No Press fam. The beatdown. Welcome everyone to another episode of The Beatdown, the segment and channel where two worlds collide. I am your host, Class. And as always, if you guys like our content, you know what you can do, share, like, or subscribe, as always. And now, continuing on, today we're just going to be talking about the end game on this end. We do have their powers, abilities, and feats, and brief origins. If you guys want to look into that, you can just look into the description below, or just look up the No Pressure channel, and on there you'll see the video of options, and it'll show you the recent ones that we put out. Now let's move on. So let's start off with this introduction, shall we? Entering this corner, the almost banana-shaped helpful hands that have been assisting with evil since the beginning of time. The one and only minions. They have the more superior firepower during a standoff. Now, why do I say that? Well, because their options are not limited by a lot of things. I mean, they got battle axes, they have bazookas, they have spikes with bats. They have so many options that are much more of a deadlier combination, including the fact that the minions are a little more tolerant in pain, and on top of that, they know how to inflict pain on a lot of people based on their experience. Now, they seem difficult to eliminate, meaning they can blow themselves up with the Kakamora and survive the explosion, but obviously the Kakamora wouldn't survive it. Now, why would I say that? Well, coconuts are pretty damn durable and strong, but explosions, bombs, anything like that, that's gonna put a toll on a coconut compared to the minions, who happen to be very durable. If you remember in the first movie, one of the minions blows up one of the other minions with one of the bazookas, and the minion survives and just kind of socks him in the arm. You know, he just gets like a little smoky, but he doesn't have any actually severe injuries. He's willing to go another round. So explosion wise, they probably have that in the bag, no doubt about it. Dry land, they might have more of a fighting chance, since Kakamora are more ocean-based experience pirates rather than solid ground. As you've seen in the movie, Kakamora so far, I don't know Moana 2, but Moana 1 so far from what we have, they only are on a boat. So they usually fight on a boat. It's kind of their territory to live on oceans, but I'm not sure if they've ever really knew how to live on land. Now you might think, well, what's the difference between living on land and ocean? Well, ocean's a lot of movement. Ground, land is just solid non-movement. There's a lot of difficulties in adjustment to certain people, including fighters during a fight, which the minions can't adjust considering the fact they started in the ocean and then wind up on land. Now, Kevin, Bob, and Stuart seem to be more of a match for the Kakamora, as they are the big three who have learned the martial arts of Kung Fu. Yeah, because if you've seen the movie, like I believe it was The Rise of Gru, or I can't remember if it was The Rise of Gru, but I think it was The Rise of Gru. They learn how to from a martial art expert, and then they became bad to the bone when they were turned into certain animals, but at the same time with those certain animals, they learned how to harness their chi or their powers, and then became kung fu masters from that moment on, which they learned from constant training. Now they can also drink that purple transmutation monster serum, and then the Kakamora are Dunzo Washington and that, and because the Kakamora are strong with the coconut shells and their battle weapons, but they're not going to be able to take on a monster. And that also brings my next point, which happens to be the amulet that turns them into superior creatures. Even if they are bunnies or chickens or stuff like that, they were still able to outmatch giant monsters. So the Kakamora, even that extra step for the minions, or that little extra serum, is still going to help boost their chances of beating the Kakamoras. Sorry if I'm pronouncing them wrong, by the way. Alright, so that was their end game. Now, let's talk about these guys' end games. On this corner, the fruit-covered pirates who will stop at nothing to get the heart of Tafiki. The one, the only Kakamoras. Alright. Now, they seem to work better as a team compared to the minions, who seem scattered-brained most of the times. Now, if you've seen in the movie, you can see the demonstrations. The minions in the first movie, they're kind of always like picking on each other. Even in the second one, still picking on each other, hurting each other, inflicting pain on each other. They're always kind of like going back and forth all over the place. Sometimes they're not even agreeing on certain terms in certain situations. But with the Kakamoros, that's a different story. They have, I believe, one leader to guide them, and they just kind of follow through on the leader's guidance. And then they just don't really bother on trying to fight each other for who's right or who's wrong. They're just focused on being the proper team that needs to get this thing going or get it done. Now, their armor is more tougher than obviously their skins, so the minions won't be able to just put a fist on them for damages. Like, for example, the minions can't just sock them and that's it. Like, the Kakamoros are going to need a lot of inflicted weapons in order to really do some damage to them, considering the fact they have one armor on top of that layer of the coconut armor they have. So the armor of coconut and another armor plus their weapon experience, they're not going to be that easy to just kind of punch through and call it a day. They seem more flexible in how they move, making them harder to get an easy shot at or hitting them. So what I mean by that is, like, obviously the Kakamoros, if you've seen how Moana had a very difficulty trying to grab one of them while they kind of snatched the rooster, there is an argument to be said that the Kakamoros have a much more flexibility and speed compared to the minions, who haven't really showed any kind of speed during any certain situations. They haven't really had an opportunity to show like a really impressive speed feat, at least not that I've seen in the films, or maybe I'm just missing something. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so the darts will be their ultimate weapon, obviously, in defeating the minions, considering it's like one of those numbness darts that can put them out for a temporary amount of time, or numb an arm or something like that. So I do believe that if they hit them with that, which the Kakamoros is like their strong weapons, they might hit the minions with all those, and if they hit them with all that, that's game over for the minions. They're not going to be able to get back up. Even if they have strong skin or durable, they're not going to be able to get up from a dart taking them out. They've been taken out easily before. You've seen Despicable Me 2, they were captured and all this stuff, so there is an argument to be said that, yeah, they're easily targetable. Now, the minions are easily distracted by things like ice cream and water coolers, while Kakamoros are more laser focused, meaning that the Kakamoros are going to be able to defeat them in a much more of a better chances, considering the minions are, like, again, all over the place. And since they're not really, they're like they almost have like ADHD, like they have a short attention span of focusing. So in a moment's notice, if something shiny shows up and they happen to look for that glance moment, the Kakamoros are going to be able to overtake them in that moment. And that could happen at any point in time. If they get anywhere near a water cooler or ice cream, it's over. If they go near Baskin Robbins, the game's over for the minions. Kakamoros are not going to care about ice cream. Their only focus is about defeating and beating people. So, or beating whatever thing you want to call the minions. All right. Sorry. Okay, and then my last point is their element is open seas, obviously, as the minions are really equipped aren't equipped in that field. Kakamoro's pirates ocean experience does come in handy. The minions do come from the ocean, but they have never really been pirates compared to these guys who have experienced it for many, many years. They've probably been around the block for a while, these Kakamoros. So I do believe that at some point they might be able to take advantage of that opportunity in a fight. Like, let's say they were it was Battleship, and they took the minions into their ship and they had to fight them on their own turf, and they were more likely going to be able to come up with tricks and stuff like that to separate the boats and all that might confuse the minions, which gives them the upper hand and then gets them the W on this end. But as always, no press fam, it's not up to me, it's up to you guys. So if you like either one of my arguments, you can hashtag the minions or you can hashtag Kakamoros. As always, no press fam, we really appreciate you guys keeping it 500 subs. Peace.